You are listening to the Outlaw Podcast with me, your host, Andrea Hall. I am a certified equine gestalt coach, speaker, 3-time author, and lawyer. I help women lawyers who are miserable in their career, struggling with mental and emotional health issues, wanting to have fun in their lives, and struggling to be selfish. After fulfilling my dream of being a criminal defense attorney and opening my own law practice right out of law school, I thought I had it all. While at the height of my career, my 18-month-old puppy died, and I thought, what am I killing myself for? Sometime later, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and my world turned upside down. It was in that moment I realized something had to change. This podcast is about sharing my journey with you about what is possible in your life outside the legal profession, stopping the adulting and being able to play as a child, inspiring you to dream again. Let the journey begin.
Hello, this is Andrea coming at you with another episode of Outlaw. And anything is possible if it's important to you. And you will find a way. Otherwise, you will find a justification. Do you remember a time when you were hungry for something? Like your first job, your first home, a law degree, becoming a CEO of a company, or owning your own business. There was this huge desire and passion. And I know for me, I had several things in my life that I have had that were very important. My law degree was one of them. Opening my own law practice right out of law school and starting a new career. There are so many things that I have found and held that were very important, and excuses didn't get in the way. And some of the things I want to share that I've learned that help with getting the excuses out of the way are something that I've talked about in a previous episode, is that there's only 8,760 hours in a year. And what will you use that time for? And looking at your calendar to determine where you hold value. And another thing that is really important when you decide what's important to you is really the why. And where does that come from? I think so many times people set goals and think they want something and think it's important, and they don't really understand the why behind that and why it's important for them to go after whatever that goal or dream is. And so then it's easy for the excuses and the justifications to get in the way when they don't really understand the why behind that goal and who decided that that goal was important. And does that goal really have a value or meaning for you? You know, I remember when I was in law school and I asked people like why they were there. And a lot of times it would be, well, this is what my family did, and everybody in my family has been a lawyer. However, it wasn't like I had this burning desire to be there. And I get asked that question even a lot by people who are wanting to go to law school now. They will say, well, I want to do it because I think I'm going to make a lot of money. Or everybody in my family is a lawyer. And the first question I ask them is, tell me your why. Because if your why is not big enough, you're going to find excuses and ways to get out of it and never achieve it. And so when I think back of me going to law school, the biggest why was I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to fight for the underdog. And I didn't want anyone else to feel the way that I did. Something that happened to me is 2 weeks before I started law school, I was arrested for a DUI. And I saw actually how the criminal justice system worked. I saw how an officer who I used to wait on with his colleagues after they got off a shift at 11 o'clock, they'd come into the restaurant I worked at. They'd drink Long Island teas and eat wings from 11 o'clock till 1 o'clock, and then they'd get in their car and drive home. This was the same officer who arrested me that night, who told the DMV hearing officer that my behavior wasn't normal. And I thought, normal? This isn't even somebody I know. This is somebody that used to come into my restaurant and I would wait on, that I particularly didn't like, especially at 11 o'clock at night, knowing my restaurant closed at 12 o'clock. And they would come in and I would be irritated. And yet they would do the same thing that they were accusing me of, which was getting in my car after having a few cocktails and driving. And when I was told by my lawyer that I wasn't going to be believed, because unfortunately I did have alcohol in my system. And at the time I was exactly the legal limit. However, I was told by my lawyer that because I had alcohol in my system, that the DMV hearing officer was going to believe the cop over me, and it didn't matter what I had to say. And I vowed at that point in time that that would never again happen on my watch. And that was my biggest reason why I wanted to go to law school and why I wanted to become a criminal defense attorney. Now, don't get me wrong, I love to argue, and I definitely wanted a license to be legal to argue. And yeah, I thought the money was going to be great. Little did I know that wasn't the case, especially in the criminal defense arena. Yet my why is what kept me pushing through 3 years of law school, studying for the bar exam twice, killing multiple brain cells to get a license to allow me to go to court and fight for the underdog. And you know, opportunities are never missed. They're just passed on to someone else. And I've talked about this in a previous episode of Outlaw too, where when we don't follow the breadcrumbs and listen to our intuition, that those opportunities are just passed on to someone else. And excuses and justifications are huge. And that is definitely one of the things that I'm really working on this year in my 100 days of my presidency, which I announced at the beginning of the year in my first episode, is looking at me and my self-care and taking the first 2 to 3 hours of my day and focusing on me so that I can then focus on the things that are really important to me. Because I've found that it's easy for me to get sucked into Facebook and get sidetracked, especially if I do not hold what it is that I want to accomplish in the day or the week or the month with high importance. It's easy to get sidetracked. It's easy to hear the ding on the computer and check to see if it's Facebook, a text message, or where it's coming from, and not stay focused on what I hold as important. And I know that everyone has excuses. I'm not the only one that plays that game and gets pulled away from what it is that they say that they want, because you really have to look at what is important, what is your why, and what are the values that are keeping you in that place of that want. And when we truly want something, you have to understand the why behind the goal, and hold the value for you so that the excuses will melt away and it'll become a no shit, no kidding, I'm going to do it situation. And you'll become unstoppable. Look back at the time when you were a kid, or actually look at any children. If you don't have children of your own, think of somebody who does have children. Children don't listen to excuses or justifications, right? They don't say, I want a cookie, and then when mom says, no, you can't have a cookie because it's almost dinner time, they don't go, okay, and then they go and sit down. No, they go to dad, they go to a brother, they go to a sister, mom leaves the room, they pull out the chair, they pull out the cabinet drawers, they do whatever it's going to take to get the cookie, because they're not stopped by an excuse or a justification. Same thing when a kid wants a new bike or a new toy. They will figure out the way to get that. They will stop at nothing. There is no excuse, no obstacle, nothing that will stop them. And at what point in time do we lose that drive, that determination, that unstoppability, where no and excuses get in the way? And I just want you to think back at that passion that children have for the things that they desire, the things that they value, the things that they hold important. And I want you to share with me some of the excuses that stop you from what you think is important. And what would be different if you continued to focus on what was important and your why, and how you would ultimately become unstoppable. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Outlaw.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of Outlaw. There is life after litigation. If anything I said in this episode resonates with you, call for a free exploratory session to see how I can help you. My horses will give you instantaneous feedback, unlike traditional talk therapy. You will shift your awareness into real time with the help of a horse. The horses are like lie detectors, flushing out limiting beliefs with a swish of their tail, a shift of their 1,200-pound body, or a simple unwillingness to move. Horses have a way of seeing into the window of our souls. Horses have been connected to humanity since the dawn of time. Their hearts can heal and mend our broken hearts. Simply standing in their presence can change our lives forever, putting the puzzle pieces back together and returning us to wholeness. Horses are restoring the parts of us that have been missing. You can call us at 970-682-4405 to set up your appointment today. Want to be inspired daily? See about our latest events or purchase a copy of my books? Go to our website at www.witherswhisper.com. That's www.witherswhisper.com. Or you can follow us on any social media venue at Withers Whisper. Until the next episode, listen to the whispers.